totals of those three fine programs. So anyway, hopefully you'll help us reach the goal. Let's start right off with our usual order of business, hottest seat in sports. And I did speak with Corey. As I said, he's on location tonight, so Brady couldn't make it. We're trying to recruit somebody who wants to talk on the phone, wants to talk about the signing of Schwarber, the collapse of another disappointing effort by the Eagles. Corey has Jalen Hurts on the hot seat. 4 INTs. On one play, he managed to have 2 turnovers. If you didn't see, I mean, I watched it, and it was easy to understand how it happened, but he threw an interception. The guy was returning the interception, had the ball stripped from him. It came loose. Hurts caught it on the second bounce, and before he could get to the ground, somebody waffled him. He fumbled again, and the Chargers recovered. So it was a nightmare on whatever street it was. As always, the Eagles seem to travel well, especially at SoFi Stadium, where I can recall it sounded like a home game a couple years ago when they played the Chargers there. The Rams play there also. I think it's a little different fan base. But a ton of Eagles fans there last night, and they had a disappointing flight home, as I'm sure the team did, as they lose in overtime. It was a game that any mistake was magnified. 8 turnovers altogether, something like that, by both teams. I mean, talk about your Herculean, your valiant effort. Justin Herbert, the quarterback for the Chargers, had surgery on his left hand. Now, granted, that's his non-throwing hand, but he had surgery on his hand a week ago. And a week later, he's playing Monday Night Football. Not only did he lead his team to victory, he led his team in rushing, which you wouldn't expect someone with a coming off hand surgery. Obviously, they had it wrapped in a certain way, legal. Wasn't like he's going to be out there punching people with his left hand. But great effort by Herbert just when you thought he would be out. He comes back. I mean, Harbaugh, as he was known as a hard-nosed player, hard-nosed quarterback, and he certainly has a chip off the old block in Justin Herbert. So they're 9-4. I mean, they had kind of the Chargers a shaky start. They lost some games to some teams. What happened? Well, and you know, it can happen with the Eagles and the Bears. The Bears lost to the Packers their next time out. So it's a wide open field for the most part. The Patriots look like they're pretty solid, but a 2-game lead can disappear quickly. I don't know if the Pats and the Bills play again. Corey's not here with his laptop to get that instant feedback. But the Eagles, they still have they're a game and a half up on Dallas. I don't know how the tiebreakers would pan out because Dallas had a tie, so that's probably going to be any chance of a tie should be resolved by that tie instead of a loss or a win, depending on your vantage point. So the Eagles 8-5, there would be get at least one home game, and of course already the experts, the pundits, and so forth, the media types are comparing it to 2023 when they started out 10-1 and ended up losing in the first round of the playoffs. I think they lost 7 or 8 in a row at the end of the year. And now the Eagles have lost 3 in a row, so is it deja vu all over again? Sandwiched in between, though, you could take a little disappointment. They are, after all, the defending world champions, having dispatched the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl last year, setting up an ever-popular parade in Philadelphia. So the Eagles down the tubes, but they got Schwarb, signed him to a 5-year, $130 million contract. That's a $30 million a year. I don't know, I mean, it may play out differently. Maybe he gets more now and less 5 years from now when I think he's going to be 37 or 38. So he and Harper are locked up. And you see all kinds of things on the internet, trades and so forth. I've come not to believe them. It's just this clickbait. Now there's a term rage bait, which was the new word of the year according to the dictionary experts. Rage bait. Well, I don't know much about that, but no. Here, Corey Smith, he's texting me. Bill's back. He must be tuning in. Hey, how can you be covering that meeting? Maybe the meeting's not right away. He says, Bills Pats play this week. So if the Bills can knock off the Pats, all of a sudden, so the lead is down to one game. I think the Bills are 7-4. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But and then the Broncos, they certainly have a leg up on the Chargers, but they play the Chargers again. So things could get mighty interesting at the top. Eagles' last 4 games, they have the Raiders at home this weekend at 1 o'clock. Should be able to dispatch the woeful Raiders, although I love their coach, Pete Carroll, because he's older than I am. But then they have the Bills. They have the Commanders, Bills, Commanders. So two of the last 3 games are against the Commanders. Bills will be tough at Buffalo. Could be snow. You never know. But the Commanders are really on. They've lost a bunch in a row, 8 or 9. I'm not sure. So I texted my brother, want to chat on Sports Chat now? I haven't heard from him. So I figured I wouldn't just make a cold call. I'd love to talk to my cousin, too, because the Phillies, as I said, they had their big signing. And you see all these other rumors online. Oh, they're going to sign some well-known all-star starting pitcher and so forth. Well, they have an all-star starting pitcher who didn't even see the field in the playoffs because he had very serious condition. I forget what it's called, thoracic outlet syndrome, something that had to do with blood vessels in the shoulder. Might even have been his non-throwing arm. I don't know. He's right-handed. But Zach Wheeler, he apparently attended a recent 76ers game, and he was looking healthy. So he's a linchpin for sure. The Phillies, if the last couple of years, knocked out in the first round of the playoffs after winning the division both years. So they got to get it together. They got to hit, and they haven't hit. They won 1 game against the Dodgers, and that was a lopsided affair otherwise. So we'll see. I saw the Dodgers. They got the Mets closer, Edmundo Diaz. He was tremendous 2 years ago. This year he was hurt. But, yeah, I mean, just the Dodgers just have a way. Who does? I mean, they're the 2-time defending champs. At what point do you call them a dynasty? Probably takes more than 2, maybe like 3 and 4 years, or obviously 3 in a row is a dynasty in this day and age. And they have the last, they've had 1 Super Bowl repeater in the last 30 years, something like that. So, anyway, Eagles against the Raiders. They got to get their act together. I think I was ready. I was watched the game last night. I admitted I was not happy. But you still had the feeling they were going to somehow win the game. They picked up that 4th and 16, Devontae Smith, who had been largely invisible through the first most of the game. In overtime, after the Chargers take the field goal to go up 19 or 22-19, and their kicker, by the way, hit 5 out of 5, including a 64-yarder to tie. I mean, the guy, he's a machine. Beautiful kick that he has. Anyway, Eagles, they convert the 4th and long. I mean, if they don't get it, the game's over. You get 1 possession. If you don't score at least 3 points, the game's over. So they picked that up. I think they got another first down. Dallas Goedert had a big overtime. And then, and Barkley, he had over 100 yards, including 52-yard touchdown run, the Eagles' only touchdown of the night. But in hindsight, it's always 20/20. But they tried to go for a 15. They threw the ball about 15 yards downfield, and I didn't think they needed to do that because I think it was on maybe second down, something like that. So you could still think about getting a fresh set of downs and then trying to pound it in, use a tush push. I wonder if they ever won a game with a tush push. That would have been a special moment, but we'll never get to see it because that was when Jalen Hurts threw his fourth pick. So 5 turnovers. That all of a sudden he had 2 all season or something, and now he doubled his total for the whole season in one game. Now some of those INTs are the receiver's fault. Either they run the wrong route, or they get their hands on it, knock it up in the air, and it's a tip drill for the defense. So, but yeah, Jalen definitely that one that he threw over the middle, and the linebacker was right there. That was a bad throw. And yeah, I would have to say when he had the 2 turnovers on the same play, well, technically it might be possession changes, but it was all the same play. I think that was a bad throw. So A.J. Brown should be somewhat happy, although they lost, but he's back as a main target. A couple of tough catches, though, that he could have made and didn't. You don't see those guys drop too many balls. Devontae Smith dropped the ball at the end of regulation that would have if he caught it, even if he gets tackled short of the line of gain, the Chargers would have had to use their last time out. So it's a cumulative thing. And they've lost linemen. Landon Dickerson went out, and Lane Johnson's still out. Kurt Jurgens, he hasn't been the same player he was last year when he was All-Pro. He's been hurt, hasn't lived up to standards. The speculation was, hey, maybe just Jason Kelce will come back. Now he's working the game, wearing a coat and tie. He's been off for 2 years, and I think it was Troy Aikman said, well, they probably already asked him that, and he said, no, thanks. I appreciate you guys thinking of me, but I like my my online business, my podcast with my brother, and I like wearing a tie and doing Monday Night Football, so no thank you. But not so for Philip Rivers, 44 years old, last played in the NFL in 2020. That would have been during the pandemic. His last year, it's probably a good time to quit. The Colts, their backup is hurt. Their starting quarterback is hurt. He's out for the year, Daniel Jones. So they've actually had a tryout for Philip Rivers. Wouldn't that be interesting? You have already there are 2 40-year-old quarterbacks in the league as it is, and Aaron Rodgers played like a much younger man. He actually had a rushing touchdown for the Steelers. And Joe Flacco, he's had some big wins, but he's on the Bengals now, and Burrow is back, Joe Burrow. Tough game, though. They had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and the Bills broke it open. Josh Allen had another spectacular game where he had a 40-yard touchdown run on a scramble. He's big, he's fast, nobody really wants to hit him. It's like hitting a truck. And now he extended his record for the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in the history of the NFL. So, I mean, there are a lot of big names that he has just passed by. So let's segue into basketball because there's a lot going on. Or maybe let's stay with football, college football. Do you have an opinion on the 12? I know the Notre Dame fans are beside themselves, and I don't blame them. 2 teams that got in are not exactly known as football powerhouses. Tulane out of New Orleans, great place to go to school. The Green Wave. And then you have James Madison. 2 years ago, they were in 1AA. or 1A, the college playoff division. Now they're both playoff divisions. So it used to be 1A, Division 1 and 1A. But anyway, Notre Dame didn't get in, and they won 10 in a row. And they point to, well, Miami beat them by a point in the first game of the year. Okay. Well, aren't you always trying to get the teams playing their best when it counts? Like Ole Miss lost their coach. Are they going to be, do they deserve as high a seed as they got? Remember a couple years ago where Florida State's starting quarterback, they were undefeated in the regular season and they didn't get in because their quarterback was hurt. You can consider all these factors. And I was watching the Talking Heads this morning. They really made a great point. All this bit about Group of Five, it makes no sense, and I don't think they should have something on the screen tells you what it means. I mean, I know the big boys get the automatic bids, the SEC, the Big Ten, Big 12. I guess ACC, you don't get an automatic bid because Duke won the ACC, and they're not going to the 12. And they shouldn't. They had 5 losses. So unless you're going to make it a 24, 48 team playoff, and why wouldn't you? Because there are billions of dollars to be gained, which can be distributed. You need that to pay these players now. They're professional athletes, let's face it. And how did 3-loss Alabama get in? I don't get that. That makes no sense at all. They look pathetic against Georgia. I know they beat Georgia in the regular season, but it's what are you doing for us now? In the case of Notre Dame, they're rolling with a Heisman candidate as a running back. This guy is spectacular. Meanwhile, you let Tulane in and James Madison and Alabama. I think that's the biggest one that sticks in my craw. They're always overrated. Nick Saban's not there anymore. I don't know why. I mean, they beat some teams in the regular season. They beat Georgia. They might have had another signature win, but 3 losses. I don't think another 3 losses ever gotten into the playoffs. I might be wrong about that. But meanwhile, Penn State, all things Penn State. Carl, if you're out there, give me a call. Penn State is going to the Pinstripes Bowl, and they're going to play Clemson. So it should be an interesting game. It's both teams underachieved, so maybe they should call it the Underachievement Bowl. But Clemson and Penn State will be in a bowl. UConn is going to be in the Fenway Bowl. I forget who they're playing, but UConn's coach, Jim Mora Jr., really revived that program. My son Chad went to UConn, and he has been following them, and their 3 losses were all in overtime. So, but Coach Moore has taken a job to be the head coach at Colorado State. He has previous head coaching experience in the NFL. So I guess an interim coach will be leading them. Meanwhile, for Penn State, Coach Smith, Terry Smith, loved by his players. He's not the new head coach, but great compromise. They have Matt Campbell, the head coach of Iowa State. He is now the head coach at Penn State, and Coach Smith is going to stay on as, I don't know what you call it, head assistant, associate head coach, whatever. They'll give him some kind of important title. He bleeds blue and white, all things Nittany Lions, and he did a great job. I mean, even those games they lost, they almost beat Indiana. They played Ohio State tough, and they won their last 3 games. So a lot of people wanted him to get the head job, but then you read the powers that be, like, well, if you really want to win a national championship, you need somebody with street cred, with a record, and Coach Campbell, just in like 10 years, the winningest coach in the history of Iowa State. Well, that tells me he had a pretty good record, but also maybe that nobody ever hung around there long enough to get more than 77 wins or whatever it is. But we wish him all the best, Coach Campbell, new head coach at Penn State. And let's see, did we have some predictions last week? Yeah, we talked about Lane Kiffin. He's now at LSU. No surprise there. Not coaching Ole Miss, which is understandable. Why would they want to give LSU a lot of ink? Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, the Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they still only have one loss. So they are really getting it done. But I was looking for football scores here. Seahawks over Falcons. That was an easy pick. Jacksonville. This is who's going to make the playoffs. We said Texas in. Robert says out. I said in. Well, they helped their cause. They got by the Chiefs. Chiefs, we all say they're out and they lost. So really, they need a lot of help. They may be done. The Bills, Roberts, we all say the Bills are in. Robert says the Colts to win AFC South. Wouldn't that be a great story if Phillip Rivers comes in and leads them to a title after they've been given up for dead in the water? What a great thing they had going early. Jonathan Taylor playing like a Offensive Player of the Year or maybe the MVP, and Daniel Jones resurrecting his career. They got Tyler Warren, the standout tight end from Penn State. Everything going their way, and then all of a sudden, they hit a wall, whatever, kind of like the Eagles. So those are two teams with kind of parallel trajectories. Can they turn it around and move forward? Let's see what else we have here. We had offensive coordinator Kevin and Jalen. They're both, the hot seat hasn't changed. Those Eagles guys, they're still on the hot seat. Shining stars. Let's see, what do we got here? Well, how about the kicker for the Chargers and Justin Herbert, since I talked about him? And how about Izzy Seitz? Gettysburg girls have quite a story under their head coach, Rick Keller. And I think he's in his third year, so I apologize. I had him on the show, and I think I butchered his name. I apologize for that. But Coach Keller, somebody called it, I guess I was talking to Vic Perez today at the Y, and he said it's called the Tennessee offense. But what they do, I call it the Grinnell College approach, where you sub somebody out every minute. You keep everybody fresh. And it's just a relentless pace, 32 minutes of aggravation. That means full court pressing the whole way. And on the offensive end, racing down the court, jacking up threes, getting off a ton of shots. And so far, it's working great. I think they're 3-0. Izzy Seitz, the MVP of their opening tournament. And I think one of the games, they got off 86 shots, something like that. That's a lot of shots. I don't know how many went in, but I think they scored 70 in the last time out. So, and as far as the three ball, they had 16 in their first game and 12 the second game. So that's 28 threes. I mean, it's a staggering rate of scoring. So just giving you a little glimpse, we've had a little break here. Football season is over. Corey and I had a chance to enjoy Friday nights. Well, this past Friday we were at the Christmas festival. I was interviewing Santa Claus, and Corey was doing a lot of good things for Destination Gettysburg. So I lost my train of thought here. I apologize, but well, I was talking. I know I was talking about football earlier, and I was talking about our schedule. Okay, so this Friday night, we're going to have New Oxford boys basketball, and they're at home, so we're going to just go across the way. And then the following Monday, the 15th, we're scheduled to be at Gettysburg. I still got to reach out to AD Godsey and clear it. Likewise with Ryan Anderson at New Oxford. But the idea is we will go see I just talked about Gettysburg girls, and we're going to have them early in the season. We're going to do 10 games. So Monday, the 15th, will be Middletown at Gettysburg. Supposedly Middletown has an all-state player, so it'll be interesting to check that out. All right, let's go back to the NBA. The Thunder running away with it. The Lakers, LeBron, he's amazing. He's, 41 years old? Had sciatica, and I've had sciatica myself. I know how painful it is, and I'm not sure what his treatment was, but he got better against the 76ers on Sunday night. I think he scored 26 points, had the winning assist, a double-double with assists and points, and he had at one point where he scored 10 points in a row for his team, and they were down for much of the game, but ended up winning by 4. Sixers, I think they're 13-10 right now, so maybe overachieving a little bit, but they're still trying to get everybody healthy at the same time. Paul George trying to work his way back in the lineup. Tyrese Maxey's been carrying that team. I think he's third in the whole league in scoring. Definitely will be an all-star this year. I think he had one appearance last year. But he's a player that has gotten better every single year. Not everybody can say that. Joel Embiid, he is hobbled somewhat, and he's on a minutes limit. He was 0 for 9 from the three-point line the other night against the Lakers, and I think he still ended up with 16 points. He's still a terrific free throw shooter, but Joel Embiid, I don't know. I mean, they signed him to a big 3-year contract, lots of millions. Hopefully he can round into form, and the Sixers can at least make the play-in round. I think that's possible. VJ Edgecombe, rookie, he shows a lot of promise. They have a lot of other lunch bucket type guys. Drummond, he's an amazing rebounder. You still would rather have Embiid out there for his offensive contributions, but Andre Drummond out of UConn, tremendous rebounder. So Robert must be tied up. Maybe he's not going to be able to play trivia either. Hopefully we have a full cast for trivia. So the playoffs in football are still about 4 weeks away. And probably the favorites right now, the Rams. Everybody likes the Rams. The Patriots, is Drake May really an MVP candidate? Well, I guess he is, according to people. He win 10 in a row, and he's leading the league in passing percentage. So they're going to, I mean, and the Broncos don't win pretty, they just win. And they have a way of coming back and snatching games at the fourth quarter. And the Eagles, I think that's when they started their 10-game winning streak, was at the Link in Philadelphia. Another one of those games where Eagles could move the ball but couldn't really score, and turned the game around. I think it was, I forget the exact score, but they scored what appeared to be a tying touchdown, an extra point, and instead Sean Payton went for 2, and they made it, and all of a sudden it was 18-17 Broncos, and they went on to win from there. So they've got a Hall of Fame coach, Bo Nix, a quarterback who can make big plays when you need them to. Their defense is highly touted, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, we said, talking about Robert and Corey, Texans, Robert said no, but Corey and I said yes. Jacksonville, they had a big win over the Colts. Robert says, no, Panthers, Corey out, Robert in. I tend to think the Panthers are going to have a tough time making the playoffs. They're still in the hunt, according to the charts they put up there. Let's see if there's any news here. Just Bills, Pats play this week. All right. Let's see. Well, I talked about Aaron Rodgers, and he did a great job. 284 yards passing, looked like the Rodgers of old, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's in the top 5 in almost every passing category. But he's 41 years old now, but he can still zip the ball. And there was some question, can he throw it down the field? First play from scrimmage, he goes up top, perfect trajectory. DK Metcalf cradles it, 52-yard gain, and they're in business. So I think he had 3 or 4 passes of at least 25 yards, really zinging it around. His best game by far for the Steelers. So now they're a game up on the Ravens, and somehow they say the Bengals will still be in the hunt. They'd have to win out and have everybody else almost lose out. The Browns are out of it. But yeah, I mean, that's a mediocre division. So, but somebody's going to get the automatic bid and the home field advantage. In the Central or the North, you might have 3 teams make the playoffs from the North. Right now, the Packers are in first place, the Bears in second, and the Lions 8-5, just like the Eagles, but they're in third place in their division. So they have their work cut out for them, due to the Lions. In the South, the Buccaneers lead that division with a 7-6 record. They lost at the Saints. The lowly Saints picked up their 3rd win last weekend. So Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, they are still in first, but can they hang on? We'll see. Meanwhile, Jacksonville, they are looking like they're going to get into the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence has had, I mean, he's been he's a top draft choice. You know he's got talent, and he's finally starting to put it all together. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, I mean, I haven't watched a lot of their games, but I think they're going to get in. Baseball signings, I know Kyle Schwarber just signed today with the Phillies. 5 years, $150 million, and that's, people think that, well, that's going to set the market for Kyle Tucker, considered the best free agent available, a left-handed power hitter, member of the world champion Astros a couple years ago. So we'll see where he ends up. And I talked about Diaz to the Dodgers, so they kind of set the market a little bit. What's going to happen to Ranger Suarez? I still haven't heard anything about him. All these reports I see about Alec Boehm being on the trading block. Yeah, I mean, they're in the midst of these winter meetings, so the deals should start emerging, but so far they have not, or they've trickled out, let's say. Well, I'll venture into another realm. Talk about the Christmas festival. The weather was cold, but the crowds were quite enthusiastic. And I had a chance to interview Santa Claus. It's not something you do every day. He somehow magically appeared on the Gettysburg Railway train and arrived at the station. Appropriately, light snow was falling in the background. Mark Whaley was there to record the moment for posterity. And then he was going to get on a carriage, a horse-drawn carriage, take it to the square, light the tree, and go on his way. Yeah, I said, well, I know you can do a lot, but you can't do it all, can you? And he said, you're right. I give all the credit to my staff. He was very humble, willing to share the plaudits for all the good things that happened. So anyway, he seemed, I imagine someone of a more rotund stature, but he looked fit. But when I saw the twinkle in his eyes, I knew he was real. So Santa Claus, it was a real thrill to interview him. And the festival went on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. So they had a great setup. I mean, you expect cold weather. I think we were spoiled. Last year it was probably in the 50s or something like that. So there were big crowds, still big crowds, especially for the lighting of the tree. I think, though, we're not, it's, even 29, that's not that cold. I can remember running when it's 5 degrees outside or something. Today I ran outside and I was cold. I had 6 layers up on my torso, and it was not warm. So I think it takes us a while to get used to the cold weather. Anyway, I think it's gonna hit 40 tomorrow. So a little weather as well as sports. Um, so yeah, I'm very thankful for community media. It all started for me in the late 1980s. Ray Gowker walked up to my office and started talking to me about he wanted to establish this TV station. So I immediately said, yeah, well, how can I help? How can I get involved? And so we had an election to have board members, which in hindsight was maybe a mistake because you have people that want to help, and now you say, well, you're not on the board. But you learn as you go. And now here I am surrounded by a lot of expensive equipment and first-class people that they know how to work this stuff too. Sean and Jordan are back there now, and they know how to push all the right buttons. But really, Ray and Mark are the heart and soul of leadership of the station because they've done such a great job of meeting with townships and dealing with trying to get them to share the cable franchise fees, which I think there's some obligation for them to do that. Here we are all these years later, we're still on Comcast, 40-some years. No, I guess it's not quite 40, but we're getting there. We're probably at 38 years as a TV station. And we're in New Oxford now, and we have a beautiful studio, but there's hope to make better use of the surrounding square footage here in the building and see what we can do. So I know it actually, a story made the Gettysburg Times today. Ray and Mark met with the New Oxford Borough Council and talked about this issue. So who knows, exciting things ahead for community media, but I'm very thankful that I got involved with the station way back when. I really appreciate Ray and helping me to be a part of it. Sports, I'll never forget the first sports coverage we had was me, and I went to the Wigwam. It was Lincoln. It was the high school at the time, and it was a basketball game, and I had my new box cam. My Boxy VHS cameras are like this big, and you have a big tape that fits in, and I bought a tripod, and I go to this game, and I'm putting the tripod together, trying to figure out the directions. And I made a lot of mistakes, and as I said earlier, you learn from your mistakes. So I just go up in the bleachers with this camera, and there are people, I'm crammed in. There's people on every side of me, front and back. So the game gets underway. All of a sudden, I start talking. I can tell these little people, the people are thinking, what's with this guy anyway, and who does he think he is? And nobody even heard of our station at the time. We were Adams County Television. We later became Adams Community Television, and eventually Community Media of South Central Pennsylvania. So I'm up there in the bleachers, wedged in, and calling this game, and I might have like a roster in one hand and keeping track of the points and rebounds and so forth, and calling the game as well. And then all of a sudden, I must have taken my hand away from the handle on the tripod, and the whole camera tilts up, and you get a great shot of the rafters. So I learned from then on not to go in the middle of the bleachers, but rather set up your tripod, maybe go to the side of the court where the teams are, so you can kind of be out of the way. A lot of times in high school, we go to the visiting side because it's normally not as crowded. So anyway, I'll give you the schedule for the upcoming season. This is tentative, subject to change. This Friday, pending approval, Kennerdale at New Oxford boys. Next Monday, pending approval, Middletown at Gettysburg girls. And again, I'm not going to say pending approval every time because you can infer that that's true. The 22nd, a week from Monday, Waynesboro, Gettysburg girls. Then an area special, December 29th, DeLone Catholic at Gettysburg boys. January 5th, back at New Oxford when they take on Northern. The 7th, we have 3 games that week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The 7th, West York at New Oxford Boys. And the scouting report on New Oxford Boys, they have 2 great athletes at least coming back. You have Braden Billman and Brody Holmes, and they can do it all. They've both been player of the game in football and basketball over the years. So we'll be there for West York at New Oxford Boys. January 9th, Shippensburg at Gettysburg Boys. The 12th of January, York Suburban back at the Ox Boys basketball. Then the 14th, West Prairie at Gettysburg Boys basketball, and East Pennsboro at Gettysburg girls basketball on January 16th. As I said, this is all tentative. I know we left out a lot of schools. We have the schedules for all the area high schools, and we look to cover as many schools as we can. This is just a tentative schedule. We know that the New Oxford boys are going to be good. The Gettysburg girls have already shown that they're going to be very good. So we're kind of flexible, and if there are good teams out there having great seasons, we certainly want to cover them if we were able to do so. So I apologize we didn't get any calls. I think I've filled almost the whole 45 minutes, and we'll be back next week. Hopefully Corey will return from assignment. It'll be week number 912. Until then, a special thanks to Jordan and Sean in the control room. I'm Jeff Cook. Stay tuned. Trivia comes up in just 15 minutes. And do I have? Yes, I do. I want to mention our current banner sponsors. They have creative input, and they help keep our station going. Adams County Community Foundation, Adams County Sports Hall of Fame, Classic Antique Innovations, Destination Gettysburg, Exchange Club of Hanover, Gettysburg Railway, Trout Unlimited, the Adams County chapter, and UPMC Life Changing Medicine. Thank you, one and all. Thank you for tuning in, and see you in about 15 minutes for trivia. I'm Jeff Cook. Good night, everybody. Mahalo. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there the one time, but what was I talking about, Jordan? I don't know. I wasn't listening. I learned my lesson. Somebody told me one time, "Hey, I saw you on TV." I said, "Well, how'd you like it?" "Oh, I didn't watch it." You know, it's just flipping through the channels. There you were. Athletic trainers for nearly 4 decades, his legacy goes far beyond the locker room. Lefty was a pillar of discipline, inspiration, and faith, working with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and supporting generations of student athletes, coaches, and our community. The premiere celebrates his life, his impact, and the rich history of athletics in Adams County. As we launch this documentary, we are also beginning a new chapter, an ongoing documentary series highlighting local sports figures inducted into the Adams County Sports Hall of Fame. Your participation makes it possible. Follow the link in the description to let us know if you're coming. Thank you, and we hope to see you there. Sponsorship opportunities will be available. However, attendance is free.